This is a shot that we made with reverse verification. This is the future of all shots. And we're gonna use that to make a brand new molecular cocktail, which we called Atlantis. Make sure you drink responsibly. We're paving the way for alcoholics to the future. We about to get drunk on Tide Pods. Hello guys, it's me, Chef Chaz Thomas, aka Deathcore Chef, and today we are using molecular gastronomy. The technique's called reverse verification. If you think you can follow along and keep up, I encourage you to try. But, as always, the recipe is going to be in the description. We're going to teach you guys how to do this technique, and with that technique, we're going to create shots in the form of a pod, and then we're going to use those pods to create a new cocktail. That's why we named it Atlantis, the molecular cocktail. I created it, I get to name it, those are the rules. So before we get into this process, you're using molecular gastronomy. This is the pinnacle of all culinary art stuff that we do. This is where science and culinary arts meet each other. So I figured to help you guys learn it better, I'm gonna show you a demonstration of how this actually works. In my right hand, we have sodium alginate. This is a byproduct from kelp, algae. Then on this end, we have calcium lactate. This comes from calcium product. Now, separately, they're just powders. There's nothing special about them. However, when we add a little bit of water and mix them together, they create a gel. And with that process, we are going to encapsulate an entire shot into a gel-like pod. So let's get into it. Science, bitch. Now, if you're gonna do anything with chemistry and molecular gastronomy, obviously you're gonna need to get down to the exact degree and measurements. You're gonna need a scale. I highly recommend this one. They both have different pads and setups, so that way you could see what each one is weighing and you can get an exact percentage of how much you need. If you're gonna buy a different scale, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, this is my recommendation. I'm not paid to endorse it. If you wanna get something else, I don't care. But make sure you get the scale that can do 0.01 gram of whatever it is you're weighing. First thing we're gonna have to do is make the sodium alginate bath. Simply pour in 1,000 grams of water and then add in 5 grams of the sodium alginate. And then using a blender of your choosing, go ahead and mix this all together. I'm using an immersion blender. Any kind of blender works for this. Now, as you can see here, we just made a glass full of really thick salt water, is what it is. Now, if you look at the color, it's kind of a grayish white color, and that's because there's a lot of air bubbles trapped inside of it. This is a really thick kind of water-like substance, and those air bubbles are trapped. Now, you need to let this set for about 2 hours, preferably overnight. That way all the air is released and you don't have air pockets in your final product. Simply pour in your liquid into an airtight container, seal it up, and then place it in the fridge. While we're waiting for that sodium alginate bath to settle, we're gonna create the cocktail that's actually gonna get frozen and turned into a gel pod. Now, if you don't want to make the entire cocktail, this pod is a shot on its own. Feel free to make these shot pods and serve them at parties to give them to your friends. They taste amazing. Now, I know a lot of you experienced bartenders are going to be out there saying, oh, I don't have to measure in grams. Look at me, I'm going to do my pour count and get accurate measurements. You can do that if you want to, but keep in mind that this is molecular gastronomy at the end of the day, and if you're not accurate, it will fail. 30 grams of Blue Curacao, 21 grams of lemon or lime juice, your choice. 30 grams of simple syrup, 30 grams of vodka, 120 grams of water, 5 grams of calcium lactate. Same thing as a sodium bath, you gotta blend it up. Blend it up with what you got, whether it's blender, hand mixer, whatever you got. I'm using an immersion blender. And then we're gonna pour it halfway into our mold, filling up each one. Once we have the molds halfway filled up, we're gonna put up the top one, and we're going to put these into the freezer to freeze. So now we're going to remove our sodium alginate bath from the fridge, and you're going to notice that this water is clear now. It's kind of like a clear substance, doesn't have all those air bubbles trapped inside of it. We're now going to heat that to between 125 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I'm going to tell you, if you go over 135 degrees Fahrenheit, this method will not work. Even if you form a gel sphere, it's going to explode and it's not going to happen. So do I say 125 degrees to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, no higher. If it gets higher than that, let it cool down. You then take it off the heat and pour it into a bowl. Once you get done with that, you're going to add another bowl next to it with nothing but water. No calcium lactate, no sodium alginate, just clear water. Now from here, we're going to take out one of our frozen pods. We're going to drop our shot into the sodium alginate bath. We're going to stir, spin it. We're going to let this go for about 2 minutes. And to stop the process, we're going to take it out of the sodium alginate bath and dip it into the water. That will stop the gelifying process. Now we're gonna make it a molecular cocktail, which we're gonna make another cocktail separate using different alcohols. And these are gonna keep the two alcohols separate from each other, which gives different experiences, different tastes, whole different thing. So the cocktail that we're making is gonna be called Purple Rain, but when we mix it and pour it on top of the shot pod, it's gonna be called the Atlantis. So we're gonna build this cocktail in a glass. First, we're gonna fill up our pitcher with ice, 1 ounce of vodka, 1 ounce of Blue Curacao, 1/4 ounce of Grenadine, 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Then we are going to stir. Because we care about presentation, we don't want ice chips or anything, we're gonna use a strainer. Then we're gonna top it off with sparkling lemonade. I know all of you are gonna use Sprite, that's fine, I guess. I'm gonna give them the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. That is fucking good. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this is dangerous. You can't even tell there's alcohol in here, and you got an alcohol beverage and a shot just waiting for you. Please drink responsibly. I'm extremely happy with how this turned out. It is so beautiful to look at, and it is just definitely the drink of the future. But from all of us here at Culinary Chaos, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Guys, if you got any comments or anything that y'all want to know, put them in the comments. Hit us up on all socials. Check out our merch. Tell Kiko you love him. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Drive home safely. Get an Uber. I mean it.